Welcome back to another episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast. Now, like I've been saying for the last couple shows, it's not really just about doing real estate with no money. I decided that I wanted to start interviewing people that are excelling in real estate investing, in all capacities of real estate investing. So we could make this show a tool that new people wanting to get into real estate investing can use to make their decisions. And today, we're going to talk about all things wholesaling. I've got a dear friend of mine, Henry Hildebrand, here with me, and he is a professional wholesaler as well as a real estate investor. And we're going to literally pull all the information out of his head right after this. Hey, my name's Ken Dunn, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America. And I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They build their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I've built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. Henry, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I hear that you've got a little snow coming down around your place. A little snow day at home today?
Yeah. It's more icy than snow, but yeah.
I know we're going to talk a bunch about wholesaling, but I just realized that there's another aspect to what you're doing. You know, when something out of the ordinary comes up, because you have the freedom with the way you make money, you can be at home with the kids today, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one thing that I really enjoy about it is that it's more free.
Totally. Okay, let's talk about you. Tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, with your background, and how did you discover wholesaling in the first place?
Yeah, so I was a welder, or I worked in a welding fabricating shop for like 14 years. And I slowly moved up from the bottom up into the sales position, right? And then once you're in sales and you start talking to other, investor type people, and that's kind of where it started, right? Then I realized that there's a lot more than just the 9 to 5. And then from there, I moved on to a different sales position. And during that kind of move, I ran up into a tight spot financially at home, right? Where my paycheck was no longer cutting it. So much to the point where I was going to file for bankruptcy. So I went into the office to file for bankruptcy. And I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that. You got to lay out all your debts and all your expenses and all your assets and everything. And then the guy looks at me and he's just like, yo, you're in the wrong spot, right? Like, you have so much equity in your home, just sell your house. And I was like, I had no idea what he was saying. I'm like, I can't afford to sell my house. If I sell it, I can't afford to buy nothing. And he was like, no, if you sell your house, you're going to be able to pay off your debts and have 100 grand cash in the bank. And then that kind of blew my mind.
I'm literally blown away.
So I sold it. And then I moved in to my parents' house, and then I found another house that I bought. We only lived there for 10 months, and I made $55,000 on that one.
Okay, so because you bought it and you bought it and you renovated, increased the value, and you sold it again. You basically did an arbitrage or a house flip.
That's right. Yeah, okay. Without really catching on, right?
Yeah, without even knowing you're doing a house flip.
That's right. Then we did that again. And that kind of, I'm a DIY type guy, right? So that causes a lot of stress at home, right? So, but anyways, I had a bit of I got divorced, whatever, right? So now I had to start over, right? And then starting over from the bottom with $0 is way harder. Yeah, and then that's kind of when I met Tony from wholesaling. Yeah, when I kind of heard about how that works, that kind of blew my mind. That you can just, instead, you don't even have to buy the house, you can just flip the paper, basically.
Right. Okay, so we have thousands of people that watch this podcast on YouTube and listen to it on our various podcast channels. And I guarantee you there's going to be some people here that have never heard of wholesaling before. So let me stop you right there and give me your best definition of what wholesaling actually is.
The short way how I explain it to people that don't know is that I'm an off-market realtor, basically. So I find somebody that wants to sell their house off market for whatever reason they want to remain private. And then I find somebody that's wanting to buy a property, and then I'm just the guy in the middle that facilitates that.
Hold on. I see these signs every once in a while, especially when I'm going through old towns that say, we buy houses for cash. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how we help, how I find off-market properties, right? Or people that are willing to, or that are wanting to sell their house.
Yep.
Yeah, so we put
So
up,
people actually call those signs?
yes, they do, yeah. It's yeah, it's actually quite interesting because I think like on their way to work or on the way home or whatever, right? When if people are stressed out about their current situation, and
Yep.
then they see that bright yellow sign, it's that little bit of hope, right? And we've actually been able to help out some families instead of the bank taking it. We've actually had them leave with money in the bank.
How do you find these people? I didn't even like I've understood wholesaling for a while, but I wasn't really understanding that there are people like this out there. How do you find them?
There's a couple ways we do it, like ads online, as well as like those yellow "We Buy Houses" signs that you'll see in some of these trashy neighborhoods.
I see those signs all the time. So that's you? That actually works?
Yeah, we still get a lot of calls off of those.
I look at those signs and every time I see one, I roll my eyes. But I guess I'm not in a desperate situation trying to buy a house. So most of the people that you're doing these wholesale deals with, are they people that are just at wit's end and for whatever reason they don't want to list with a realtor? I mean, give me a little bit more detail. Who are these people?
So one guy that we're talking to now, he's facing foreclosure, right? So if he doesn't sell his house before April, then basically the bank takes it, right? And he has a good amount of equity. So if we buy it off him, it's a short closing day and stuff like that, right? And the house is in not the greatest shape. But
Okay.
if he sells it to us, he can actually get out of the situation with money in the bank and not hurt his credit. And we did have one guy call. He's basically lived in the same area for like 50 years. It was his childhood home. And then his parents passed the house on to him, and he's lived there for like 20 years since then. And he just wants to move out of the town and not have anybody know that he left.
Oh, got it.
So,
Okay. So he doesn't want
yeah,
a for sale sign on his lawn or anything.
that's right. Yeah,
Got it. And these guys, it's a fascinating situation that they do that. I'm just surprised that they actually call those signs. So that's taking me back a little bit, but I see them around all the time. I think you guys call them bandit signs, I think, or something.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the deals you've actually done. Tony, and we'll talk about Tony in a second, but Tony told me that you guys did a deal where you actually made a couple $100,000 by helping somebody sell their house.
That's right. Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
that work?
So,
Tell me about that one.
yeah, that one kind of we got lucky on because the seller he wanted way too much for it. The house was in way too bad of shape. But we caught on that it was actually on a double lot, and it was actually two lots separated that had merged. So basically, we didn't even have to go through severance or nothing. When we took possession, it just you take it as oh that's one we had to actually close on. So I had some partners that helped me on that one.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you found somebody who was distressed, who wanted to get rid of their property.
Hmm.
You noticed that the property in the town that was in, the property was big enough and had enough vacant land on one side of it that you could turn it into two lots.
Yep.
So you resold the house as it is. You didn't put any money into it. What you paid for the whole thing, which gave you the lot free and clear that you turned around and sold for 200 grand.
Well, we actually did some work to the house, but everything we put into it, like we didn't make any profit off of it. It just
Yeah, you
helped
did it to
sell it.
break even, so you'd end up
Yeah,
with a free lot.
that's right.
So that when you sold that house, did you essentially flip it where you renovated it,
Yeah,
increased the value of it, and then sold it to a family?
yeah.
That's interesting. Are there a lot of people that are doing house flipping that are also wholesalers? Because I love doing house flips and I think it's a great way for people to start in real estate investing as well. But I'm wondering why I never got into wholesaling because I could go out and find the right properties myself and make even more money.
It depends on where you want to put your time, right? Because whoever's doing the flip has to put time into being like a general contractor, basically, right?
Yep.
So, in that's there's no such thing as free money, right? So
Yeah.
you're getting paid for your time for managing the whole project if you're doing a flip, whereas I get paid for my time of going out, putting out ads, putting up signs, and talking to 50 people before we get to one or two good deals, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get
So,
what you're saying. So what you're basically telling me is there's work involved in wholesaling, just like
yeah,
there would
there is
be in
work
anything.
involved. Yeah, but it's more of a wholesaling is more of a desk job than flipping.
Got it. And really, you're not using any of your own money to do these deals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I word it in a way that whoever I'm assigning the contract to, they will cover the deposit and all those additional fees.
So essentially, what you're doing is right across Canada, you can do this. You're taking advantage of an agreement to purchase and sale. And an agreement to purchase and sale, which is the legal document we use to buy houses or properties, it actually has a clause in it called an assignment clause. And most people who are buying, they don't waive that assignment clause. So anybody who's buying a house could do this, but you're looking for those super distressed properties that you could sell it, you could assign it. Basically, you're giving it to somebody else who's going to buy it. You're going to make a spread when you sell it, but there's still enough money in it that they could renovate it, sell it, and make money on the front end of it. So you got to really know what you're doing to figure this stuff out, because there's a lot of math involved in this. And you also have to have that market awareness. And that'd be the part I'd be worried about. But I think you've got a partner that you actually work with that's a real estate agent. So you guys are really taking this from two angles and really assuring that you understand values when you're doing these deals.
That's right. And then what's most important for me is because I was in that situation where a lot of these sellers are. So I want to make sure that I never go into a deal that I can't get out of and that I can't help them with, right? I don't want to give anybody false hope. Yeah, in reality, every property, this can be done with every property as long as that you guys can reach a happy agreement.
You know, what's fascinating to me is I have never had this conversation before, Henry, not even with Tony, but you've heard me say this 1,000 times, that if anybody wants to master real estate investing and make significant amounts of money, there's four things that they have to master. There's four steps they have to learn. You have to learn how to find undervalued properties. You have to learn how to acquire those properties without any of your money involved. You have to learn how to increase the value of the properties, and you've got to learn how to exit. Wholesaling is those same four steps. You find undervalued properties, you use bandit signs and ads, you acquire them by signing an APS with the assignment clause, but you don't have to use any of your own money. You realize the value in them up front. So you see the lift, you identify that lift by working with your real estate agent, and then you exit, you sell the paper to somebody else. That's fascinating. What other deals have you done?
So there was one actually recent that was quite interesting, that we had it under contract at 390, and it was appraised at 450,
Okay.
and the after like the ARV was appraised at 550. Depending on how much you're going to put in, it was a full unfinished basement and stuff. So for the whoever I would assign it to, plus an assignment fee, it no longer made it a very attractive deal, right?
Right.
But it was still a deal, and it was not that terrible of a house, so it could have sold on the market, right? So I kind of went back to the sellers and I told them about that. And then they were all good with that, and they were going to list it on the market then. And then they came back and they said, you know what, they just really don't want to deal with it, and they want this house sold like now. They wanted it under contract for 320. So they like instantly went down
And that
significant.
320 covers your assignment fee and still leaves
Oh,
the
yes.
money in it for the person.
Yep. Yeah. And then it makes it a very attractive deal for whoever is going to go into it. And then the sellers and the buyers and me, we were all like extremely happy that we could get this deal done. So it's like
Okay,
a
if
win-win-win.
somebody is hearing this and they want to learn more about wholesaling, I know that Tony Marinov helped you get started in wholesaling. How important was it for you to have a good coach in helping you with this when you first got started?
It's one thing knowing it, but it's another thing like having somebody to be accountable to. And then I know at the beginning, Tony's like, "Okay, did you go through the course?" And we're like, "Yep." And then he's like, "Okay, so now these are your next step. And by this time, I'm gonna talk to you. And if you don't like I remember one of the calls, he's like, if you don't do this, you got to do the chicken dance, right? Like, it's that push. And if you actually follow the steps and do the work, you have no choice but to have success.
Awesome. Well, Tony Marinov is our wholesaling coach here at the Investors Growth Syndicate. And so what I'm going to do for everybody is I'm going to put a link in the chat. Tony created a 30-minute video, which is an overview of how wholesaling works and what it's all about. And if you're interested in getting involved in wholesaling with Tony, there'll be a link at the end of that video where you can actually book a call to talk to him. And Henry, I'll make sure that if anybody clicks on this video and watches it and ends up joining, I want you to put a comment in the notes of this show on YouTube so I know. And Henry, I'll make sure you get paid a commission on that as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Brother, thanks for being here today. The last thing I want to do, which I've been asking all the guests to do lately, is think about the brand new person who's just getting into real estate investing and they're watching this show right now and they're scared. They want to pull the trigger, but they can't. They're nervous about the whole thing, but they absolutely are struggling in life, and real estate investing could be the answer for them. What's your advice to those people that are excited about it, that are interested, but they're nervous about getting started?
You just got to do it. You just got to take action. And especially if you have a passion about it or if you're like interested in it, it's easy. It's easier then, right? If you have a drive for it. So
And if you're struggling taking action on your own, find a coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep, totally. Awesome. Thanks for being here today. Friends, listen, if you're enjoying the No Money Real Estate podcast, make sure you leave a review for us. Help us out. Help us to grow our audience. And I'll keep bringing you amazing guests. And I'm going to make sure the guests I'm bringing you are the people actually doing it. We'll see you soon.